What 40 years of innovation and creativity looks like, find out in today's episode. One of the biggest decisions you will ever make is whether you're going to invent or not. So make sure you take that decision very seriously. You know, when I wrote my first book called Burnarounds, Unlocking the Double-Digit Profit Code, it started off as a labor of love. And I remember I'm sitting in the couch and I'm typing away on my laptop, and my wife looked over my shoulder and she said, "What are you doing?" I hesitated to tell her, but I did. I said, "I'm writing a book," and she just started laughing. What qualifies you to write a book? And it was a good question at the time, but then I thought, what qualifies me now is 45 years of experience, 45 years of success, 45 years of some failures and learning that I can pass along through my speaking engagements and through my books. My second book was a really interesting book. It's called The $10 Million Employee, When Your Most Toxic Employee Meets Your Most Important Customer. And let me tell you how I got that title. I'm pulling into a hotel with my family one time, and it's a fabulous place. I mean, it's beautiful. Marble, fountains, a phenomenal fitness center, the warm chocolate chip cookies as you walk in the front door. I love those chocolate chip cookies. And we were waiting for room service, and waiting for room service, and waiting for room service. If that's ever happened to you, you know what I'm talking about. So my wife is going, "You get down there and you find out where that food is." Okay, so I went downstairs, and as I'm coming back up in the elevator, the room service woman is in the elevator with me with the food. And I said, "Oh, this is my good fortune. You have our food and you're on your way up." She goes, "Yeah, well, you know, I'm only doing it because I have to." "Oh, well, that's too bad." "Yeah, somebody turned in sick and they actually expect me to do like 2 jobs tonight." She goes, "I hate this place." And I'm thinking, you probably hate me by about now too. And because of that one experience, we almost decided never to come back to that hotel again. Now, let me tell you the power of the other employee that saved that hotel that night. The kids are little, they're 4 or 5 and 6. We're getting the hide-a-beds out and all that. And so all of a sudden we find out there are no sheets, there are no blankets, there are no pillows. Now my wife is really mad, and I'm thinking I'm really in trouble. So it's 11 o'clock at night. I call the front desk. What do you think the odds are of the front desk doing anything about anything, anytime, let alone 11 o'clock at night? Guy answers the phone. I explain my problem. He goes, "I'm very sorry to hear that, sir. I will personally bring those items up in the next 5 minutes." How many times have you gotten a promise from the front desk that they never delivered on? Like all the time? Amazingly enough, 5 minutes later, the guy was there with a big smile on his face, said, "By the way, this night is on us because of your trouble." Now that's how the second employee saved that $10 million investment, and that's how my second book came about. The third one, American Manufacturing 2.0, people ask me all the time, what happened to manufacturing, what went wrong, and how to make it right. Sounds like the good title of a book. So I wrote a historical perspective of what went wrong with manufacturing, and then what people need to do to make it come back and have a resurgence. In that book, I lay out what I call the 7 values of ingenuity, which are basically values that form a cohesive and a killer culture such as we have in Miller Ingenuity. And then I start moving into, now what do you do once you've installed that culture? How do you take advantage of that culture to develop new products and new markets and so forth? The fourth book I just co-authored with Jack Canfield, which is pretty cool, and that is called Mastering the Art of Success. And the chapter that I contributed to that was basically innovation. One chapter on how companies can be more innovative. I decided to publish my next book, which is called Metamorphosis, From Rust Belt to High Technology in a 21st Century World. And I lay out in that book, chapter and verse, exactly how Miller Ingenuity did it, coming from a Rust Belt company to a high technology company. And I lay out exactly how anybody can do that in about 12 or 14 chapters. And the foreword to that book was written by a colleague of mine. His name is Jedediah Yue. He's a Silicon Valley legend. He wrote the foreword to my book, and he called me the Steve Jobs of the Rust Belt industry, which I thought was pretty complimentary. Now, having heard all that, what do I want you to do? Well, I go around the world speaking to large groups of CEOs, and I explain to them exactly how they can revitalize their companies, particularly if they're a manufacturer. But it doesn't have to be a manufacturer because culture cuts across all industries. So the things I teach people in my keynote addresses and when I consult with CEOs is there's a three-part process to how you can totally transform and revitalize your company. So I'd love to work with you, and we can do this in one of three ways, all three ways if you want. First of all, I'd love to come and do a keynote for your association or your group. And I can lay out in an hour the planks, the most important parts of what needs to be done. Secondly, we have what's called the Ingenuity University, where we bring companies into our creation station, which is our innovation place, if you will, and we teach them exactly how to innovate, exactly how we've done that. And then third, the other way we can work together is just pick up one of my books. After you've read it, give me a call. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.